After my junior year, actually I had my coach come to me and it's like, hey man, you have some scouts looking at you. And no one from my school had ever gone to the NFL. So I'm like, scouts? Like, what do you mean scouts? Like, we don't have pro days here. We don't have like scouts coming to watch practice. You know what, if this is an opportunity, then I'm putting everything into it. I'm not going back to school because I'm gonna go start training. Like, if this is a real opportunity, I'm going to train. In my mind, I convinced myself that my life depended on this. Oof. You will die if you do not make the team. It was extreme. It was the most stressful part of my life.
Wow. Welcome to Health is Wealth, where we explore the intersection of athletic excellence and personal well-being. I'm your host, Dr. Myron Rolle. Today, we have a man joining us who exemplifies dedication both on and off the field. NFL star running back for the Washington Commanders, Austin Ekeler.
Here's Ekeler, he's been impressive tonight. To the end zone. Ekeler, touchdown.
From his humble beginnings, Austin defied expectations, becoming a force in the league, known for his incredible versatility and explosive plays. But beyond the gridiron, Austin is a passionate advocate for health and wellness, demonstrating how discipline and a commitment to well-being can lead to success in all aspects of life. We're thrilled to have him share his journey with us today. And before we have him join us, let's learn a little bit more about Austin Ekeler.
But first, a message from our sponsor.
My name is Austin Ekeler, and I'm from Eaton, Colorado, and currently reside in Las Vegas, Nevada. A typical day for me back in Colorado, I actually lived on a ranch, so it was a lot of taking care of animals. We had horses, cows, chickens, pitching hay, breaking ice in the winters. I really grew up in the cowboy life, like watching bull riding, bass fishing, things like that. So I wasn't really a person that I looked up to, more the concept of people kind of doing better for themselves. That's where I kind of got my mentality, just can become the best version of myself. I think I knew, I was pretty good at sports early on. I was always one of the captains on my team from a young age, and that was because I would just show, hey, I can play at a high level and also radiate energy that would motivate people around me as well. We were all pretty good, but I was definitely standing out. For me, I've always been a workout warrior, so I've always been in the weight room. That is like my sanctuary. Like, I love being in there, and it also helps me play better on the field because I'm more durable. Being able to be the best player you can be and also taking care of yourself are the same thing, in my opinion, because to be the best player that you can be, you have to have that lifestyle that gives you the opportunity to push yourself, gives you the routine to put yourself in a position where you can actually go out there and perform at a high level all the time. If you don't have that routine and that's not part of it, it's going to be really hard for you to be playing at a high level.
Austin, thanks for being here with us, man.
Absolutely, thanks for having me on.
Appreciate you, brother. Well, I wanted to start with some childhood questions, back to the beginning. Looking back at your childhood, what were some of your earliest experiences with sports and physical activity, would you say?
Ooh, yeah, I think, first of all, I grew up in Colorado in a small town, like one stoplight town, and my mom had gone through kind of traditional sports, like that we see today. She married a guy that had gone through just the straight cowboy life. So I grew up around a lot of, bull riding, roping, rodeo life, that type of thing. And so that kind of led me into a lot of like bass fishing, things like that, a lot of stuff outside, hiking. But my mother pulled me into kind of the traditional sports world. And early on, I remember my first sport was soccer. And it was soccer, t-ball, wrestling, basketball, football. My mom just continued to put me into a ton of sports at a young age.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome, man. When you hear about Colorado, they often say it's one of the healthiest states in the country. People are outside hiking, like you're saying, walking around, doing some of the outdoor stuff. Was that sort of an influence too, just the community that wanted to be outside and engaged in activity?
Absolutely. I think when you think of Colorado, like you mentioned, outdoors, it's like the mountains, which is going to bring you outdoors because of the hiking and all that stuff, but also there's a ton of agriculture in Colorado as well. So a lot of the work is outside. You know, like for example, my mom's husband at that time, he had a fencing company. So we were outside building barbed wire fence along the railroad and stuff like that, 26 miles long in the summer. Like that's what we did. And then again, we lived outside of town, but we lived on a little plot of land, and so we'd be outside. My little brother and I, we'd be playing, catch. With snowball fights. We build little igloos and stuff just because there was all 4 seasons. So I think there's just more that pulls you outside, and there's the different seasons that all have their perks that come with them.
Definitely. How did you find football, or how did football find you?
Yeah, I would say it was both. I think it was both because I was playing so many sports, and I think that kept standing out as my best sport. I always played running back, but actually, funny story, the first time I ever played, my first ever snap, I was playing left guard because we were playing flag football.
Oh, man.
Flag football, they line you up everywhere. It's chaos, organized
Yeah.
chaos when I was like really, really young.
Yeah.
And I was a left guard, and it was a pass play. And so I remember it's a pass play, so what do? You go out for a pass. Well, I didn't realize that the left guard, you don't go out for a pass. So I went out and I caught the ball from the receiver and scored a touchdown. And they didn't have any rules. They're just like, yeah, whatever, let him go.
Yeah.
And then I never played left guard after that again. And continued to find success and would go to like little camps here and there around town during the summer. And again, that just continued to be kind of my best sport out of all of them. And so I think that kind of just blossomed into a relationship, me and football, where, hey, this is where I can see myself continuing to progress in my athletic career.
Awesome. And then going into college, you ended up at Western Colorado, so Division II school.
Yeah.
Tell us what that experience was like.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think that was kind of the biggest point in my life where I faced a reality check. And I'm very thankful of it, and I think it's one of those situations where during the time I really was like, looking down and like discouraged, but I think it's one of the best moments. And that moment was where I felt like I did everything I could my senior year in high school, where I had a ton of rushing yards, 43 touchdowns. I was like number 22 in the nation of yards, and so I'm like waiting for an opportunity to go and get into a big school and have that scholarship offer, and that never came. I went to a small school. I was 5'8", 186, playing running back, and wasn't that fast. So not a lot of good things adding up for me to go play at a big school. And for me, I didn't know anything about that. I just knew I was having success. And for me, I knew I was super dedicated, and I would work out every single day after school and everything like that, even after practice. And my heart was fully into that. That was where the reality check came in, was that they didn't come. I was like, I didn't get that. So I was like, what was my next opportunity? And it kind of taught me where, like, hey, you can go out there and put everything you got into something, but that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean you're going to get the next opportunity that you want.
That was like a life lesson, essentially.
For sure. And so I'm still thankful for that now looking back. But at the time, it was like, okay, I got Western Colorado that came to me. It was the only school that came to me with a scholarship, and it wasn't even full ride. It was like a third scholarship to come play running back. And so I'm like, that's my opportunity. Let's go do it. The day I graduated, literally threw my hat in the air. My truck was already packed because I'm ready to go. And so that was one thing that stood out about me, and that you couldn't really measure on paper, is that like my heart, my intensity when it came to my work was off the charts. And that's what's continued to help me, push through these opportunities, whether they're small or big. That's why I think, I've been able to continue to have success, even though I am 5'8", 195, is because my work ethic and how I take, the game, and the intensity and the attention to detail that I take with the game is at the top level.
Yeah. I wonder if it's, and you can answer this for me if you don't mind, and for our viewers too, like, is it a small town, smaller stature, not supposed to succeed in this sport, kind of chip on your shoulder that motivates you to work hard? Or like, where does that fuel come from?
Yeah, I think it's been a thing that's been ingrained in me since my working on the ranch days. I remember with my mom, her ex-husband at the time now, so that's why I refer to him as that, but he had no excuse. There was no excuses. We work and we get our work done, we get our responsibility done, and when we were building fence, it was you're running. Like we're all jogging out there building fence. Like it's 90 degrees and we're up in Steamboat, up in the mountains, building 26 miles along the railroad, keep the cows off, and we're jogging out there, and it's hot as hell. Like we're putting in work, and that was the standard, and that's how you did it. And then even in the morning, like it's all about, hey, responsibility. I remember, one time I forgot to water the horses and also break the ice for the horses, and it's about 9 o'clock and my lights come on get out, like, all right, like, I'll go shoot, and I just immediately, oh no, like, forgotten. So that it was kind of that, like, that jolt. But just being in that environment from a young age, I started taking care of the animals when I was like 6 years old, and kind of growing up in that has kind of just always kind of intensified the way I attack anything that I'm in. So it's a blessing and a curse. It was a bittersweet, a tough love environment. But as an adult, it's definitely made me thick-skinned and really obsessive with my responsibility that I have.
Definitely. Going back to college, we see people college taking great lengths to try to recruit people and NIL and all this sort of stuff like that. How were the players at Western Colorado treated, even pre-NIL years? So take me through that.
Look, Western is in the mountains, in a town that has like 3,500 people.
Yeah.
And so most of those people aren't there because they love, traditional sports either. They're not watching football, basketball, stuff like that. Like my mom was still the loudest in the stands at Western Colorado. There was more people that watched my Eaton high school, games than Western. That was just the way it is. There's not a lot of people, but most of the people out there are skiing, fishing, hunting, hiking. It's the mountains. It's the highest college in the nation, 7,800 feet. And so it's just hard to recruit there. There's not a lot of resources to go around. And so for us, it's a lot of, gritty, just young men that are pushing through and looking for the next opportunity to play ball. And it happened to be up in Western.
So I went to Florida State, and man, I couldn't.
A little bit different than Western.
Yeah, a little different, brother. How you explain it?
Here's a funny story. When we got to the facility at the Chargers, I got there and I had asked the trainer if we had to pay for the protein shakes, because I didn't know if we got protein shakes. Like there was like a cooler there, and I was like, do we have to pay for this? Because we never had that at D2. We never had protein shakes just sitting around in the cooler. You got to go buy all that stuff. We had to fundraise $300 to pay for our equipment, stuff like that. Like this is like one step up of high school type stuff. So
it's a struggle, brother.
It was. But hey, taught me a lot of lessons.
Yeah, there you go. So once you found success at that level, did you ever get any interest from any bigger schools that wanted you maybe to transfer from Western Colorado somewhere else?
No, I never had anyone reach out about transferring or anything like that. This is before NIL, so this is before there's boosters like kind of nudging elbows and say, hey, Austin, come out into the portal. We got money for you. And again, I've come from a small Division II school, so there's probably the question of like, the competition level and things like that. But I don't think I would have transferred. I was really committed to where I was, and I also wasn't actually seeing myself going to the NFL. And so I was actually in a special program. It was a business program, energy management, and I was going to go work in the legal and negotiating side of the oil and gas industry between private landowners and oil and gas companies. And so that was my degree I was specializing in. I had a job offer. Like I was there for my education, and I was using football to pay for that. And so for me, it was education, but after my junior year, I actually had my coach come to me and say, hey, man, you have some scouts looking at you. And no one from my school had ever gone to the NFL. So I'm like, scouts? Like, what do you mean scouts? Like, we don't have pro days here. We don't have, like, scouts coming to watch practice. And so for me, that opportunity that, hey, football that was going to be something that I could use was kind of like taboo, but ended up, obviously, giving me an opportunity.
It's an amazing story. Moving on to the NFL. After that career at Western Colorado, leaving as an all-time leader in rushing yards, NFL draft comes knocking. What do you remember about the weeks kind of leading up to the draft and sort of that process?
Yeah, so once I figured out that, hey, this NFL thing might be a real opportunity, I had a call with my coach and actually a call with my mother, and I had one more semester to go finish school. And I was like, you know what, if this is an opportunity, then like I'm putting everything into it, right? Like I'm going. Yeah. And so what did that mean? I'm not going back to school because I'm gonna go start training. Like this is a real opportunity. I'm going to train. Like again, I had that obsessive personality. Like I threw my hat up. I went to school. I went to start training. I went and got a job and started working out with the team immediately. So this was no different. I didn't have a team yet, but I'm going to go start making sure I'm doing everything I possibly can, and I'm using every minute of the day to make sure that I'm ready for my pro day, and I'm ready to put on the best show to show people that, yeah, I can go out there and physically play. Was just in a position where I didn't want it to be something that I didn't do to cause me to fail. Like, oh, I should have done this, should have done that. Yeah. And so for me, it was a no-brainer to go out and continue to put myself in a position where that was everything.
Yeah. Who was that one person? You mentioned your mother quite a bit. Maybe it's her who sort of buttressed that journey and helped instill that sense of belief that you could accomplish this goal.
Ooh, I think it was. I don't know if it was a person. I think it was a self-belief in myself from continuing to push through some opportunities that I had. For example, going to high school to college, yeah, it was a small opportunity, but I made the most out of it. And I continued to build some type of belief that I could become what was needed to that opportunity at that time to make it work. And so that was another perfect example. Hey, you have an opportunity to maybe go to the NFL. Okay, let me put the energy, the time, the brain power into becoming what that needs to be.
Awesome. What do you remember the most from your first couple of days at training camp? Anything stand
Stressed
out
out of my mind.
Stressed.
Like, in my mind, I convinced myself that my life depended on this.
Oof.
Like, this, you will die if you do not make the team.
That's extreme, Austin.
It was extreme.
Yeah,
it was the most stressful
yeah.
part of my life.
Wow.
Still this day, that there's not been a period of stress that has been more stressful than that. I remember I got into the first huddle and I was like so ready and so like locked in. I actually pulled myself out and I went and threw up behind all the guys. And I was like, hang on a second, like I got to calm down a little bit. And I remember I broke down crying several times because for me, I'm so locked in. I'm overstudying. I'm studying as much as I can. I'm staying after. I'm going and talking to coaches. And I remember talking to my assistant running back coach that was doing like the rookie stuff with me. I was the only rookie at the time in the running back room anyway. And I was never moving up the depth chart. Like I was sixth string on the depth chart. Yeah. No sixth stringer ever makes it. And so like I'm doing what I'm supposed to. Like I'm not jumping off the depth chart or anything like that. But I'm in the right spots, the right times, doing what I'm supposed to. I'm not moving up. And so I'm stressed. I'm like what else I got to do? Like I'm not getting many opportunities. I'm getting like 2-3 reps of practice. There's 6 of us. There's only one spot out there, and so most of my reps came on special teams, and the scout team for the special teams. So I'm like scout punt, scout kickoff. That's what I'm getting my reps.
Right.
And so actually one quick story. So we came in. I wore number 3. Couldn't even wear number 3 as a rookie running back at that time. But I was on punt, and I'm running for my life out there, and it's full go. And I am full go. No one's touching me. Like I'm running with my hair on fire. That's why I'm bald now, you know. But no, I'm running like my hair, like my body's on fire. And I remember Coach Lynn, our head coach at the time, comes in and is like, "Dang, Coach Stu, who's number 3 out there?" And Coach Stu goes, "That's Ekeler. He's been giving us a hell of a look." And so that was like my first like recognition. Yeah. And so that's kind of how my whole training camp went, all the way up into the preseason. And it was just me hyper focused. Really, I told my family, "Don't talk to me. Like I know you're excited, but don't talk to me because I don't need any energy of like, oh, how's it going? Like that's too happy for me right now. Like let me focus and let me make sure I do what I need to do, because this isn't just an opportunity to like, you know, play football again. This is a whole lifestyle change. This is a whole trajectory of my life. This is a whole just incredible moments that can be made from this opportunity being taken advantage of. And I want to make sure I don't let it slip."
Yeah. You know, and coming from where you came from, this is kind of bridging onto the health aspect of the health is wealth, our conversation today. But, you know, maybe you didn't have the same facilities of a hot tub, a cold tub, a masseuse, a chiropractor, yoga, all those things that may be available to these professional athletes. How did you transition into the league, even early on, to say, well, maybe I need to do this for my body to make sure that I'm ready to perform on Sundays?
Yeah, this is one of the things with me. Like I'm super old school because I think I learned that from being back at the ranch. Like when you're in a small town, especially on the ranch, you learn to do a lot with a little. You know, we can jerry rig that, put some duct tape on that, hold that fender up. You know, like it'll work, it'll be fine. You know, it's good, it works. And that was kind of how I approached my life as well. Like whatever resources we have, we're gonna make it work. You know, we only have this flat football. Well, I don't have an air pump, but flat football is gonna work. And so for me, what's worked for me was I was always in the weight room. Like that was my like sanctuary. That was a place where I could kind of like let loose of everything, all the stress, and just go out and work, push myself. And especially when I had a group in college that I would do it with, it was just kind of that moment of like clarity and really like just peace for me. That's what I've always done. I haven't never gotten to the red therapy. I've tried all the stuff. I've tried the massages, tried like the red therapy. I've tried the cryos, the ice tubs, the heats, the Theragun, everything. Yeah. And for me, it's always comes back to just working out, and that's what's worked for me, and so that's what I continue to do, and I just continue to be a workout warrior. And I think it's worked for my body comp and the way I play.
So I'm a pediatric brain surgeon, so I want to bring it back to the youth a little bit, and speak about young athletes playing the sport of football, especially training for the sport of football. In the off season, we've seen an increased tick of young athletes succumbing to dehydration, heat stroke, heat exhaustion. And so I guess the question I have for you is, how do you balance that urge and desire to work really hard so you can get better and improve yourself with the same risks that come with a climate that's changing? It's hotter out there, you know, and you can have these really serious health consequences that can come from pushing your body too far.
That's real. That really is. I've heard of, guys that I played against and have been in the same conference as that, heat stroke, and, now they're no longer with us. Like, situations like that is absolutely real. Now it's even more prevalent because now money is, you're getting money earlier on.
Yes, you are.
I remember my high school, like, we didn't have like trainers out at practice or anything like that. Like, now in college and in the pros, there's always people with water, in the urinals. You got to pee in this little thing, and if it doesn't turn green, you have to go get water. Like,
right.
Always on top of hydration, everything. So what you're saying is 100% real. What do you say to that? Well, you hope that whoever is running that, whoever is going through the training, things like that, is on top of it. It's more of just, I guess, us continuing to speak out about, yes, we absolutely want to be ultra competitive, but we also have to take care of our bodies, because to be ultra competitive means you have longevity.
Yeah.
And to have longevity, you have to be taking care of your body, not just physically, but also in the space where it's also mental, right? I'm not getting burnt out, but then also when it comes to all the stuff off the field, the hydration, the nutrition, the sleep, all that.
And that's a great transition and segue into what I want to talk about next, which is mental health. Because I've heard in your story, and even talking to you right now, how, one, focused you are, two, how committed you are, and how the outside distractions you didn't allow those to come in to sort of stymie your growth forward. What was it that sort of locked you in to allow you to be mentally strong? Because why I say that, and I'm going back to kids, I think that mental health that you've shown in your career can translate to other aspects, being a father, being a community leader, running a business. And I think people can take that and learn from that, and not only use it to sports and health, but other aspects too.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's become a lifestyle of me continuing to self-motivate, push myself, get involved in new projects, and also get involved, not in just new projects, but when I say that, be in opportunities and be in situations where I can actually express the mental toughness, where I can express pushing through hard times, where I can express success and failure. And the more opportunities you're in like that, I think the more you build up your mental toughness. And so going back to me, again, back at the ranch, a lot of responsibility, a lot of sports. I was in scenarios where I was winning, losing, doing stuff I didn't want to have to do. Like, I was around that type of environment where there was a lot of ups and downs. And so from an early age, I experienced how to deal with defeat, how to push through hard times, what success felt like. And when you're around that over and over and over and over again, you start to become this thing that, okay, I can manage this. And I can also put myself in positions where, I can deal with ups and downs. As an entrepreneur, I've had a few businesses, like 3 or 4 businesses that have failed, and it's like that's one of the tough ones, because I'm, again, taking all this energy, putting it into it. It's the same thing as losing the game on the football on Sundays. I'm putting all this energy into it, lose, some win, some lose. It's like yourself, like you have to be mentally locked in for hours or however long you're going in surgery. There's no room for errors. You have to be very particular, very precise. Your mental toughness has to be locked in, right, to be able to actually go and actually perform your job. And so that's another, I'm sure your mental toughness is off the charts as well, because you're in environments where you practice that over and over and over again. So I know there's people out there that also have that, but it's so beneficial. And if you can also diversify what that looks like, even better.
Definitely. I want to move on to the Commanders and your time now in the DMV, as we call it.
That's what they call it out there.
So you've done a great job throughout your career to take advantage of opportunities that came off the field as an NFL player. Was that always a part of the plan, or did you just start taking advantage of these things now as sort of they arose? Like, did you have that in your mind when you're in high school, in college, or did that sort of evolve?
So, my plan in college was go be a landman. That's my degree that I was in, energy management, the oil and gas stuff. And then football came. I was like, okay, this is a bigger opportunity. And the reason I say that is because my entrepreneur side never left me. Like, real estate, that love for real estate never left me. And so all the off the field stuff continued to kind of roll in the background. My first 2 years, I'd say, it kind of took a back seat because I was, again, stressed out of my mind, trying to focus how to become a pro, how to get in. And then once I started to find out my routine of how to actually make it work, and I could kind of start freeing up some more of my brain bandwidth, it's when I started my entrepreneur stuff and taking advantage of stuff off the field. It's where I started my foundation, started a real estate fund, started doing streaming and things like that. So really a lot of community stuff that we were going on besides the real estate. And that was just the itch that was there. Like, it started to come back. I started to get a routine. I was like, okay, like, what else can I start to grow? And then I started to, have a lot of fantasy football people that are like, hey, Austin, we love you for fantasy, man. And so I was like, well, let me see what this. So I found a community that was huge and that was like wanting to bring me in. And so then I started to, pick up some more just opportunities in the fantasy world, broadcasting shows. I really started the media side. So it definitely ramped up as my career continued to progress, but the itch was always there.
Nice. And then how important is it to find that balance while you're playing to help with the transition when your playing days are over?
Balance, I think, is subjective. It depends on like what is balance to you. Because for me, again, obsessive personality, and so I have different off the field endeavors that I'm involved with, and it's the same energy that goes into those as well. And so I have like probably three projects that we're working on right now that take up a lot of my time off the field, even during football. Like I'll go do football. It's 5:30. All right, I'm coming home, coming out of the football kind of zone, going into, my foundation or charity draft or these other fantasy leagues that I'm running and things like that, or the real estate stuff. And so the balance is more so for me, that is my balance. Like I need to stimulate my mind, and so I can feel like, okay, I'm actually doing something, I'm growing towards something, because if I don't, I go crazy. Like I'm looking for something to fulfill it. I'm trying to build in something else. So that's my balance. My balance is continue to physically go exert myself, and then then mentally exert myself as well. And then my wife, luckily for me anyway, that she's also motivated as well, has her own career. So we kind of mesh and we kind of like bounce off each other. And when it comes home to the mental stuff.
Yeah. I think that's a great message because it's unique and individualized, right? Balance is how you make it, right?
Yes.
It's not a cookie cutter how everyone looks at it.
No, I wouldn't recommend anyone to be like me, because I feel like it's, again, a blessing and a curse. Like there's sometimes I'm like, man, like, I've done really well for myself. I could just run my foundation and like have a lot more time going and traveling around and things like that. Whatever works for you, we've found a way to manage it, but it definitely is individualized. And I would say it's individualized, but I would also say that hopefully you're taking advantage of whatever you have, because what you have right now is going to lead to the next opportunity that you get. So I hope it's still something you can, feel like you're putting effort into to try to get not just that better, but get yourself better and become a better version of yourself because of the experience you're going through that can hopefully continue to lead into more and more.
No question. I had one last question and one last health-directed question.
Yeah.
Because what I've seen in talking to you and what I've really picked up from talking to you, even from when you were a rookie starting off, you had mentioned something. It didn't escape me. You were like, I went and saw the coaches and I talked to them and I was asking them what I could do better and how can I improve. You were very proactive about your positioning. You were very proactive about your posturing. It wasn't like, I'm going to sit back and allow the world to just come to me. It seems like in your story, you've really, just been proactive, been aggressive, been the lead character in your development and your story. And how can that translate to our listeners and to our viewers to say, take advantage and be a self-advocate for who you are, your screenings, your testings, your mammograms you need to get, all the things you need to do to improve your health, because life is just not going to come and hand itself to you in your lap.
Well, it will, but if you do that, then it's probably not going to be what you want.
True.
And so, man, what you're talking about is not easy. It's not easy because it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And for you, especially if you're later on, it's tough to say, hey, I need you to change your lifestyle if you want to get to these goals that you actually have. And it's not supposed to be easy. This isn't easy because it's supposed to be something that is a lifestyle. And so to turn, it's like turning a cruise liner. You're trying to turn it, and if you're going this way, it's going to take a while to turn this thing in a different direction, which is good because you can turn it, you can do it, but it's just going to take a while. Yeah. It's that theory of compounding interest. And so if you're wanting to put yourself in a position where, okay, I want to start taking control. Actually, one of the things I did before we left OTAs, I went to my head coach and I said, I'm going to make this team. I said, Coach, I'm making this team. He didn't even know my name. He didn't know my name. We were just together for 6 weeks. He didn't know my name. Crazy. But again, But again, going back to what I was saying, it's a compounding of interest. It's a becoming of what your habits are. It's, hey, if you really are wanting to take on this journey and become, someone that is taking charge and learning about things, it comes down to your mindset. Your mind is going to control everything. Your mind is going to take you to the gym. Your mind is going to take you to YouTube to learn about, things about, hey, how can I get started doing this? How do I learn about my health? How do I, spiritually, your mind. It's about your mind. It's about what you're consuming. It's about what you're doing with your mind. If you want to make a change, it starts with what your mind is going. What direction is my mind going? Am I getting distracted all the time by social media and stuff like that? Am I wanting to do things at a high level, but I'm not taking the steps to actually learn about that? Can I even speak the language of where I want to go? That would be my start. It's not going to be easy. It's actually going to be extremely hard, but also because of that, it would be the most fulfilling thing that you could possibly do, because you will look back and be like, man, I was in the and I actually turned it around, and now look at me. And I'm so proud of the person that I became, and so it's going to be extremely hard, but it's going to be probably the most fulfilling thing that you do if you want to get yourself back on track and you feel like, hey, there's something better for me.
Awesome, man. I really appreciate this. I appreciate you, your spirit, your passion, your insights. I think all of it is going to be incredibly beneficial and helpful and productive. Thank you for aligning our North Star and getting us the right direction.
Yes.
The small steps that we're talking about. And your story is truly inspirational. And I just appreciate you being on Health is Wealth, man. This has been amazing.
This has been incredible, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. No doubt.